Did you know that every single thing you do, every experience you have, is physically changing your brain? In this explainer, we're diving into the incredible science of neuroplasticity and how you can literally build the brain you want.
So let's start with a big question. Think about your brain right now. Is it finished? Is it pretty much fixed, set in stone now that you're an adult? For the longest time, that's exactly what science thought. The big myth was that once you're past childhood, your brain can't really change anymore. The only thing that was supposed to happen was, things going downhill, like losing brain cells as you get older.
But wow, was that wrong? It turns out nothing could be further from the truth. The reality is your brain is constantly reorganizing itself. Everything we do all the time is changing our brain. And the best part? There's no age limit. That's some seriously good news, right?
This amazing ability for our brains to change, it's got a name, and it's the absolute key to understanding how we learn, how we grow, and how we become who we are. And that name is neuroplasticity. It's the brain's power to literally form new neural connections throughout your entire life. Just stop and think about that for a second. Every single time you learn a new fact or practice a skill, you are physically remodeling the very architecture of your brain. It's wild.
So how does this actually happen? What's going on under the hood when we learn something? Well, it turns out the brain has a few different ways it changes itself to make learning happen.
Now, there are a few types of change, but for us, right now, the two most important ones to get our heads around are chemical and structural changes. Let's break those two down because they explain that feeling we've all had when we're trying to learn something new.
Okay, this right here, this explains the frustration I know you felt. So you've got chemical changes on one side. They're super fast. It's basically your brain cells, your neurons just communicating more effectively. This is why if you practice, say, juggling for an hour, you actually get better. You're thinking, yes, I've got this. But then there's structural change. That's the slow and steady one. This is where the physical connections between your neurons actually change. It's slower, but it's what locks in long-term memory. So when you wake up the next day and you've totally forgotten how to juggle, that's why. Those quick chemical boosts faded before they could become lasting structural changes. And these structural changes, they're not just some abstract idea. They are real, physical, and measurable. For instance, studies show that people who read Braille develop larger sensory areas in their brains for their hands. Musicians have bigger motor regions for their dominant hand. And this one's my favorite. London taxi drivers who have to memorize this insane sprawling map of the city, they have physically larger brain regions dedicated to spatial memory. Their jobs literally made a part of their brain grow. Okay, so if our brains are these amazing, shape-shifting supercomputers, why is learning still so hard sometimes? To figure out the real deep-down rules of brain change, scientists had to look at one of the toughest challenges out there, helping the brain recover after a stroke.
This is the central puzzle, right? The big question that researchers like Dr. Lara Boyd are trying to solve. If the brain is so good at rewiring itself, what's stopping it from making a full recovery after serious damage? And this is a massive, massive problem. Stroke is the #1 cause of long-term disability for adults all over the world. We've gotten really good at saving people's lives after a stroke, which is fantastic, but we haven't been so great at helping them truly recover their abilities. And it's this exact challenge that has forced science to really dig in and figure out the basic rules of how brains change.
And what came out of all this intense research are two simple but incredibly powerful rules. And these rules don't just apply to stroke patients. They apply to every single one of us, every single day. Okay, here it is. The first, and maybe the most important rule of all. Your behavior is what drives change in your brain. Period. There's no magic pill you can take for neuroplasticity. You have to do the work. That practice, that effort, that's what tells your brain it's time to remodel. And get this, research shows that the more you struggle, the harder it feels, the more significant the learning and the bigger the structural changes in your brain. So that feeling of struggle, that's the feeling of your brain changing. But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. Neuroplasticity is a double-edged sword. It doesn't care if a habit is good or bad. It just works. So yeah, it helps you learn a new skill, but it's also the very same mechanism that can lock in chronic pain, create drug addiction, or even just make you forget something you used to be good at. Your brain is constantly being shaped by what you do, and also by what you stop doing. And this brings us right to rule number 2, which is so important. There is no one-size-fits-all way to learn. You've probably heard that 10,000 hours rule to master a skill, right? Well, It's not that simple, not at all. Because every single one of our brains is unique, what works great for your friend might not work for you. For some people, it might take way less time. For others, it might take way more.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? It's that you are in the driver's seat. You have the power to take control of this process. You can literally build the brain you want to have.
Because every single thing you choose to do every day, and every single thing you choose not to do,
Is physically shaping the person you're becoming, for better or for worse.
So let's wrap this up with what you can actually do. The takeaway here is simple but super powerful. First, become a student of yourself. Figure out how you learn best. Second, consciously repeat the good stuff, the behaviors that are healthy for your brain. And just as important, actively work to break the habits that aren't serving you. And never forget, practice isn't just practice. It's the physical work your brain absolutely requires to change.
Look, every single day, your brain is being molded by your experiences and your choices. So the only question left to ask is, what kind of brain are you going to build today?